And welcome to The Spread, where we pick all the NFL, all the college best bets. Got a little problem. Wasn't able to drop last week's episodes due to moving. But don't worry. We're going to have a little fun episode here. We're going to find out if George was right or wrong last week. Last week we picked the 4 best college, the 4 best NFL. Stay tuned. See how we did. Feel free to comment. Let me know how your week was last week. And let's go. Number 9, Louisville, -1.5, heading down to Miami, over under 47.5. Miami's defense can hang with teams, and they definitely can block, and they can set up the running game for their offense. Now, the question is, Williams is out now. How are they going to look this week? What are they going to do? You best believe it's going to be run heavy for that offense. But let's go into Louisville. What a stacked team, 9-1. Can they be 10-1? Fantastic quarterback. He's leading that offense, 32 points a game. They can score. But another big piece is that Jawar, I pronounced your name wrong, sorry about that, Jordan, almost 1,000 yards this season already, 11 touchdowns in the ACC. Now, the real star of this team is that Ashton Goulet. Leads the ACC in sacks. So it's really no surprise why Louisville is 9-1. Fantastic team. I'm going to do a homer pick here. Surgeon General warning, don't take my pick on this one. Give me Miami +1.5. I'm foolish enough to think that we can get the running game going. We get a lead. We can play great defense. And I think they can definitely give Louisville fits. The name of the game is going to be who's the toughest team at the end. That's going to be the game plan going in. Just as long as, TBD doesn't throw his normal 3 interceptions. And it's time to move on. Let's get this game behind us. TBD just ruined everything. Let's go number 5, Washington, going into number 10, Oregon State. Now, Oregon State is favored by 1.5, over under 63.5. Since that Oregon win, let's be honest, Washington has not played overall great games. Offense has been clicking. We know all about Michael Penix Jr. Those wide receivers, I think they're averaging, the top 2 guys are almost 19 yards a catch. But what isn't clicking for is that defense. Now, the defense can take the ball away. Let's not bash them too much, but they don't get home a lot, meaning they're not getting to the quarterback. They only have 13 sacks. That's going to get them to the bottom of the basement of the Pac-12. So we know everything, right? Washington, great offense. Traditional Pac-12 defense that those teams are known for. They don't play great defense. Now, Oregon State, heck of a season so far. Beating Washington would be the cherry on top. Let's talk about this. How can Oregon pull this win off? They want to lean on that defense. They only allow 20 points a game, 36 sacks in the Pac-12. So that's number 1 in the Pac-12. And Damian Martinez needs to eat. Do that Ezekiel Elliott needs to eat. He already had over 1,000 yards so far, 7 touchdowns. How's this one going to break down? I got to lean on the offense. Any team that has an offense that good in Washington, until they let you down, until they do not win, I know it's on the road. Give me Washington. It's a close spread. I think they're going to win outright, of course. Give me the +1.5. I have to lean on a great offense when a game's that close. UCLA going into USC -6.5. USC is over under 65.5. So this is the Battle of LA, aka the Los Angeles City Championship, as it's been called. Now this is a big spread for me, 6.5. That's a big spread for USC. Kind of surprised to see that, but let's start off with this. And this is the first one. Chip Kelly's mismanagement at that quarterback position. Dante Moore came in. He started him as a true freshman, a 5-star. He was replaced during that Stanford game. I don't know if you remember it. It was a tight game. They brought in the backup. His name escapes me right now, but they killed Stanford, and Dante Moore got benched after that. Problem is, though, Chip Kelly, he does not have that quarterback yet that can really run his system, where he's had other success when he was in Oregon. Hell, even at Philly, he had a quarterback in the NFL that could run a system a little bit. And, to be honest with you, with a poor end to this season, he's going to have to find another job. Chip Kelly's going to get fired if they keep losing. But we're all about positives here, right? UCLA's defense is a problem for offenses. They can play defense in Pasadena. That's not a problem. And one thing to remember, too, they have 3 to 4 guys on that defensive line that's going to play on Sundays soon. So they're very talented up front. And then every big game we talked about this year with USC, for the most part, they really have failed every big test. So for me, this game is really the old saying, the hungriest dog runs the fastest. UCLA is playing for their coach. They're playing for the season. This is their Super Bowl. I'm gonna take the 6.5. I'm not saying I think UCLA could win outright, but take the 6.5 here. It should be a great game, unless Williams goes off and my pick's out the window. But I'm gonna stick with UCLA. I think they're gonna get home a lot against Williams. They're gonna beat him up a little bit, and that's why I love this pick. Take UCLA plus the 6.5. And here we go. Final game. We're flying through these. Number 1 Georgia minus 10.5, going on the road to Knoxville against the number 21 Tennessee team. Over under 58.5. That depth of Georgia can eventually just smother a team. Tennessee actually got beat up by Mizzou. Mizzou is a very good team in the SEC. They don't get a lot of attention in the media for it, but they're a heck of a team. For me, the game is going to come down to a few things. Number 1, can Joe Milton make those critical throws on 3rd down? And we all know when they come in the games, you're going to have a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8. The drive's going to be on the line. Can he make those throws or runs against a defense as good as Georgia? That's number 1. Tennessee can get a lead early. Can they actually hang on? Remember the Alabama game? They were up by that. They were up 20-7 at the half in Tuscaloosa. And I think Alabama went on to score the next 5 scores at the half, and they took off. And then finally, mistakes. Can Tennessee avoid these big mistakes they've been making all year? They make them in big moments. The fumbles, INTs, dumb penalties. A lot of those kids, I don't know if the moment's too big for them. They just make mistakes. And with all that being said, I love the 10.5. I know it's on the road. Tennessee's going to play tight. They play, like I said, they do play well at home. They're undefeated this year. At home, give me Georgia. I'll give out the 10.5. I love the pick. The Las Vegas Raiders going into the Miami Dolphins. Minus 10.5. Dolphins are favored. Over under 47.5. For this game, it's easy for Vegas. The plan's simple. Let's get that ground game going with Jacobs. We're going to limit Miami's possessions, and we're going to harass Tua all afternoon with Max Crosby in that defense. That's their plan. If they do that, they're going to cover, possibly win the game. Miami, Devin A-Chain's back. They're a sensational rookie running back who is leading the league in rushing runs per carry, all world. He's almost like Tyreek Hill in the backfield. Super fast. Robert Hunt, they want to get him back at guard. He really makes that running game go on the right. And now Waddle got some rest. So he's healthy. So here is why Miami is going to win the game and they're going to cover. Number 1, Miami beats these lesser teams really well. And number 2, expect Miami to run against that defense. I think they're ranked 29th against the run, the Raiders. And if they run against that defense, they're going to set up Tua and company to get some real big chunk plays, that's what that whole offense is predicated on. And the Miami defense is suddenly playing really well. Even 2 weeks ago when they lost in Germany, they really frustrated Pat Mahomes in that offense, except for one drive. First drive, Mahomes looked great, but that defense is looking a lot better with Ramsey. And then finally, Miami's home field advantage. So in this game, my pick's very simple. I love Miami here. Give me minus 10.5. I think they come off the bye more hungry, rested. And let's see who's right or wrong in this one. Pittsburgh Steelers going into Cleveland. Cleveland favored by 4, over under 37.5. You know, in most categories, both offensively and defensively, they're near the bottom except one. Defensive takeaways. Very, very, very good against that. They're also 6-3 versus the spread. They've already beat Cleveland early this year, 26-22, and that game was also decided by a turnover because Pittsburgh's defense playing lights out. When it matters the most, too. That's the other thing that's critical about Pittsburgh. In those tough moments, like the win against Tennessee, they had that big pick. Last week, they had some turnovers, and then they, of course, got the critical field goal. So they're kind of weird to say, but they're kind of clutch in those moments. Now, Cleveland, we talked about at the beginning of the show, huge win against Baltimore. At one point, they were down 24-9 with 12:29 left in the third quarter. And then, boom, 3 touchdowns in a row and 1 field goal as the clock expired. Now, a couple things about the Browns coming into this game. They're number 1 in total yards allowed in defense. They're number 1 against passing yards. And they're number 7 against the rush. Let's take the Cleveland Browns, -4 at home. It's very close where you could almost take, I could see this game being decided by a field goal. But let's take Cleveland. This is going to be a tight one. Now we're going to go to the Battle of New York. The New York Jets going in to the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo's -6.5. Jets are riding a 2-game losing streak coming into Buffalo. During those 2 losses, the Jets defense is actually averaging 116 yards on the ground. They're giving up a lot of ground yardage. Now that's becoming an issue as the other teams can rack up that time of possession and really gets things slanted for them. And what I really mean by that, it really changes the game as the Jets need as many possessions as possible to score points, as they only average 16 points a game. Yeah, in a game. Some teams average that in the first quarter. Now, the other problem is Zach Wilson stinks. Water is wet. We know that. Now, the Jets have decided to stay with him. They think he's their best option to win. Let's back up to when these teams first met. First game of the year, Aaron Rodgers came out with the American flag. Supposedly tore his Achilles. I don't know if he actually tore it because he says he's coming back December 17th. He ain't coming back that fast with a torn Achilles, but we'll see what happens. Well, on that game, New York won that first matchup with great defense. They do what they've done to Allen in recent times, turns the ball over. 3 INTs, and in that game, the Jets also rushed for 172 yards. So that's their blueprint to win this game. Limit Zach Wilson's INTs, get INTs from Allen, and run that football. So the other side of this one, Buffalo, what the hell is going on? Josh Allen looks like a rookie. Coaches look terrible, and the defense suddenly stinks in those critical parts of the game. But let's back up a little bit. Let's hit that rewind button, right? Let's rewind backwards. Ever since the Jacksonville loss, there were a few plays away from having a 6-game losing streak. I mean, they've really stunk. And if this was a stock and this is Wall Street, people picking up the phones, the old 80s movie, sell, we're selling the Buffalo Bills. They stink right now. Allen leads the league in turnovers. They're 3-7 against the spread. So finally, what does all this mean for this pick? Give me the New York Jets. I can't believe I'm saying that. New York Jets, but give me the New York Jets. Give me the +6.5. I think Buffalo can still win this game by a field goal, but I think it's going to be a very contested game. I don't know if this is a get-right game for Buffalo. It's a very tough defense for them. They've had a lot of success. The Jets have against the Bills defensively. So that's the pick. The Jets +6.5. Philadelphia Eagles going into Kansas City, -3 Kansas City, over under 46.5. And yeah, it's again, that Monday Night Music's kicking in my head right now. Dun, 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 dun. We're here. Super Bowl rematch. And we're going to go right to it. Forget about the stats. 3 reasons why the Philadelphia Eagles win this game. Running the football. This is going to set up very manageable 3rd and shorts. Now remember, they got that stupid Philadelphia brotherly push. They also can run the ball well. On top of that, Swift is good. Number 2, that run defense. Kansas City needs to run with Mahomes struggling right now. That air attack he stinks right now for Kansas City. They've got to get right. But that run defense is going to come up big and make Kansas City one-dimensional. And that, number 3, that O-line. Kansas City loves the blitz. That O-line is going to neutralize that blitz, and the pressure is going to be on those Kansas City DBs to cover A.J. Brown and cover Smith a little bit longer, and it's already hard enough to cover A.J. Brown. He's a premier wide receiver in this league. So those 3 hit, Philadelphia wins this game. Never mind the spread, they're going to win it outright. Now, Kansas City wins if that defense eats. They only give up 15.9 points a game. Now, the other part, Kelsey has to have a monster game because those wide receivers ain't it. Let's be honest. They're not enough tools for Mahomes to really sling it. A lot of drops. But Kelsey, last couple of weeks, has been average at best. I don't know if he's in that love. Love's in the air for him. You have all those hearts around his head when he's thinking about football because he's thinking about old Taylor. But he has to be a monster. Something like 10 receptions, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then finally, the running game. Kansas City wins if that running game goes over 150 yards. They win in cover. So what's the pick here? Take both of those in. And for me, it's very simple. You got to give a little brotherly love on this one. Take the Philadelphia Eagles. Take the +3. Or take the Philadelphia Eagles money line to win this game outright. All we ask now, my friends, let's do a little like and subscribing. I know you love watching these picks. It's fun. Hopefully right now you got a great cocktail, just talking some football, watching it. And the second thing is just subscribe. Like this episode right now. Look, click on it. It's really easy. Take the mouse, click, and then subscribe. We love you guys coming on. This is a fun time for everybody. But as we always say, lock those bets in, lock them in early, lock them in often.